Hello and a very good morning. You're watching the Breakfast News on Rajya Sabha Television with me, Frank Pereira. Here are this morning's headlines. President Pranab Mukherjee stresses on freedom of navigation as he calls on strengthening ties with Pacific Island countries, pays tribute to Indian soldiers at War Memorial during visit to Papua New Guinea. Trade unions to go on a day-long strike against Finance Ministry's decision to lower EPF interest rates. Labour Minister assures he will discuss matter with Finance Minister. India asked the UK to deport Vijay Mallya, accused in defaulting bank loans. MEA says it will continue to pursue the matter with British authorities. Prime Minister Narendra Modi invited by Speaker of US House of Representatives to address joint meeting of Congress on June 8th. White House says it is in talks with Indian officials over Modi's proposed visit. And United Nations calls situation in Syrian city of Aleppo catastrophic. Dozens killed in attacks on targets including a hospital. On the first day of his tour to Papua New Guinea, President Pranab Mukherjee stressed on strengthening ties with the Pacific Island countries in order to achieve peace and sustainable development. President also called out for freedom of navigation and paid tribute to Indian soldiers at a war memorial. The two countries will sign several MOUs today before President Pranab Mukherjee leaves for New Zealand for his second leg of his tour.
In a first state visit by an Indian president to Papua New Guinea, President Pranab Mukherjee said that India was eager to deepen its engagement with all Pacific Island countries and stressed on the need to work as a reliable partner to achieve peace, security and sustainable development. President also called for freedom of navigation, saying sea lanes of communications should be devoid of tension and rivalry. On a busy first day, President Pranab Mukherjee held bilateral talks with Papua New Guinea's Prime Minister Peter O'Neill and later spoke at a banquet hosted by the Governor-General. The President also laid floral wreath at a memorial in Port Moresby War Cemetery to pay tribute to the Indian soldiers killed during World War II in Papua New Guinea. On Friday, the two countries will sign an MOU on cooperation in health, agriculture and information technology. Later in the day, the President will leave for New Zealand on the second leg of his tour. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Well, trade unions are going on a day-long protest today to oppose the Finance Ministry's decision to ratify 8.7% EPF interest rate for 2015-16. The protest is over the fact that the new rate is lower than the 8.8% decided by the retirement fund body EPFO. 10 major trade unions have decided to jointly organize a protest against the centre's decision. The unions have called the move an anti-worker approach of the centre. But a day before the strike, Labour Minister Bandaru Dattatreya said that he will discuss the issue with Finance Minister Arun Jaitley. The minister assured that his ministry is examining the matter and shortly they will have a sitting with the Finance Minister to find a solution. Meanwhile, the NDA government has ruled out the rollback of 1% excise tax on jewellers with a turnover of more than 6 crore rupees. Opposition members cutting across party lines in the upper house had urged the government to roll back the new tax imposed in this year's budget. The Finance Minister, however, assured the members that the government will not let any harassment take place due to the new tax proposal. Here's more.
टैक्स आपको देना पड़ेगा, लेकिन हैरेसमेंट रोकने के लिए आपको कोई और अगर सुविधा इसमें चाहिए, कोई प्रिकॉशनरी स्टेप चाहिए, तो हम वो भी लेने को तैयार हैं.
Replying to the calling attention motion in the upper house on the imposition of excise tax on gold jewellery by the union government, the finance minister on Thursday declared that there is no plan to roll back the new tax proposal. Earlier, members cutting across party lines had urged the government to roll back this proposal, saying it is detrimental to the interests of the artisans and workers of this industry.
हम चाहते हैं कि किसी भी तरीके से काले धन की रुकावट हो, लेकिन इस तरह के कानून सामने ना आए जिसके अंदर 1.5 करोड़ से ज्यादा आर्टिसन जो है वो अपने आप को बेरोजगार साबित करे, वो गुनाहों की तरफ चला जाए।
There are thousands of workers in the industry and it is an unorganized sector, and there is a perception these measures may be turned against the interests of those workers.
जब आप जीएसटी लागू करने जा रहे हो और कोई भी ज्वेलर जीएसटी का विरोध नहीं कर रहा है, क्योंकि जीएसटी से उनका उत्पीड़न नहीं होने जा रहा है, तो फिर जब उनका एक एक्साइज ड्यूटी से है तो क्यों जिद आप पकड़े हुए हैं?
ये जो कौशल वर्कर हैं, खास करके सोने में चांदी में, उनके रोजगार को आप छीन रहे हैं या उनके रोजगार पर दहशत है और आप ये एक्साइज लगाएंगे तो ये बड़े पे नहीं लगेगी, ये बड़े लोग उन्हीं से वसूल करेंगे।
आप जीएसटी को ला करके इसको लाइए, इसकी जगह कि आप इस जो एक पूरे देश में एक दहशत का माहौल इन लोगों के बीच में हो गया है, इसको समाप्त करने की आवश्यकता है।
Even members from the ruling party and its allies expressed their concern on the matter and urged the government to find a way out.
सरकार नए ढंग से आने वाले नए नीतियों से ब्लैक मनी को निकालना, ब्लैक सोना को निकालना, उसकी अपनी कोई नई नीति बने, परंतु यहाँ पर सामान्य गरीब आदमी को कोई संकट ना हो, इसकी अत्यंत आवश्यकता है।
The finance minister clarified that the new tax proposal will not apply to small jewelers and there will be no physical verification by the authorities.
और ये कुछ महीनों की बात है, जिस दिन कांग्रेस पार्टी सहयोग करेगी, जीएसटी बन जाएगा, ये दोनों टैक्सेस उसमें मर्ज हो जाएंगे। जो वैट लगाती है स्टेट और जो सेंट्रल एक्साइज होगा, दोनों मर्ज होके जीएसटी के रूप में आ जाएंगे। और जीएसटी के रूप में आने के बाद हर आइटम को, जैसे मैंने कहा, इंक्लूडिंग लग्जरी आइटम्स, उनको टैक्स देना पड़ेगा।
The finance minister also informed the House that the government has set up a high-level committee that will interact with the representatives of the jeweler community and suggest ways for smooth implementation of the new tax proposal. Vishal Daya's report for Rajya Sabha TV.
Meanwhile, the Rajya Sabha has given its nod to two bills, the Constitution SC Order Amendment Bill of 2016 and the Industries Development and Regulation Amendment Bill of 2015. Both the bills were passed unanimously by the upper house. Here's more.
The upper house on Thursday gave its approval to two important bills. First, the Constitution SC Order Amendment Bill 2016, which deals with the inclusion of some more castes in the scheduled castes list, was passed unanimously by the House. However, some members expressed concerns over the problems faced by people from backward classes. The government, however, assured all help to the needy and promised to take strong action against the culprits.
आपसे निवेदन यही कर रहे हैं कि आप जो है हट छोड़िए और उत्तर प्रदेश के, चाहे बिहार के फिशरमैन कमेटी के लोग हों, चाहे नाई हों, चाहे धानुक हों, उन सब लोगों के साथ न्याय करिए।
सामाजिक समानता को बढ़ाने हेतु बजट बढ़ाए जाने व पूर्ण रूप बजट खर्च की आवश्यकता है। साथ ही साथ अनुसूचित जाति के वर्ग के बंधुओं को उनके प्रमोशन में और आरक्षण में लाभ देने की आवश्यकता है और सरकार के द्वारा जो कुछ क्षेत्र तबके वंचित रह गए हैं, उन वंचित क्षेत्र तबकों के बारे में भी विचार करते हुए संपूर्ण प्रस्ताव विधेयक लाकर उनको अनुसूचित जातियों की श्रेणी में शामिल करने की आवश्यकता है।
Dalit Christians want to be treated as Dalits and Dalit Muslims want to be treated as Dalits and they also want reservation.
वर्तमान सरकार अनुसूचित जाति वर्ग के हित संरक्षण के प्रति प्रतिबद्ध है। आज से नहीं है, जब से जनसंघ हमारा बना था तब से है।
The Industries Development and Regulation Amendment Bill 2015 was also cleared unanimously by the upper house after some suggestions by some members.
In its 158th report, elaborately studied and advised, but based on that, what are the larger ramifications that we are going to come and what sort of litigations that will be before the courts has to be kept in the mind while making the enactment.
Talking about portable or non-portable, they only go looking at that particular description. And therefore, I suppose Member Ramakrishnan should have a clarity now that this has been further explained. I'm also grateful to the BJD member Bhupender Singh ji, who supported this amendment. I too fully take his point that cooperative federalism can better work with better execution of many of these acts.
Soon after, proceedings were adjourned for the day. Vishal Daya's report for Rajya Sabha TV.
Moving on, now in a veiled criticism of the International Monetary Fund getting influenced by monetary policies of the developed world, Reserve Bank Chief Raghuram Rajan said that the policy innovations from emerging markets were seen by the IMF as crankiness of the governor or the government, rather than based on a well-thought-out policy given the political and economic environment. Rajan, who himself has served in the past as chief economist of the International Monetary Fund, said that the multilateral institution was more likely to find innovations in developed market economies as appropriate. In the past also, Rajan has been critical of the IMF on various issues, especially about its neglect of the accommodative monetary policies adopted by the developed world since the 2008 global credit crisis. Rajan was speaking in a podcast which was recorded when he was in the US to participate in the IMF World Bank spring meetings. Let's get you the latest now on the AgustaWestland chopper scam controversy. The Enforcement Directorate is expected to issue follow-up requests on its earlier letters rogatories to at least 10 countries in connection with its money laundering probe in the 3,600 crore AgustaWestland VVIP chopper deal case. While 7 of the LRs have been already dispatched, 3 are being sent. The agency has obtained from the courts a total of 10 LRs to countries like Tunisia, Italy, United Kingdom, Switzerland, United Arab Emirates, Mauritius, Israel, Finland, Singapore and Denmark in order to obtain details about the financial transactions that have taken place in the case by the accused firms and individuals named in its charge sheet filed before a court here last year. The agency is also expected to summon former Indian Air Force Chief SP Tyagi for questioning in the case in the near future. He was questioned by the CBI last year. Meanwhile, the Defence Ministry has issued a statement asserting that the core issue in the scam was corruption and the government will leave no stone unturned in pursuing all means to bring to justice the corrupt and the wrongdoers in this case. The ministry also refuted Congress's claims that the Anglo-Italian helicopter maker AgustaWestland was blacklisted by the UPA government. It said the CBI and Enforcement Directorate are vigorously pursuing all aspects of the investigation, including the arrests and extradition of 3 alleged middlemen of the deal. Meanwhile, the Supreme Court will hear a petition against Congress leaders accused in the multi-million-dollar AgustaWestland chopper deal scam. While Congress leaders are facing the heat of the allegations, political parties have also questioned Prime Minister Narendra Modi's silence over the issue. There are also demands for a probe into the political angle. Here's more.
The Supreme Court will hear a PIL seeking registration of FIR against Congress President Sonia Gandhi and former Prime Minister Manmohan Singh in the AgustaWestland chopper case next week. The government on Wednesday said it will seek a report on the deal from the CBI and initiate the move to blacklist AgustaWestland and its parent company, Finmechanica. The centre claims that the previous UPA dispensation did not ban the scandal-tainted company.
We have filed a petition and requested the court today to list the matter next week. Court is agreed. It's a matter of AgustaWestland corruption helicopter case.
The political blame game meanwhile continues among the two sides.
इतना ही पूछना चाहता हूं कि इटली की कोर्ट में घूस देने वाले जेल में है तो घूस लेने वाले कहां हैं? उस वक्त कौन शासन में था? सीधी बात है, यूपीए की सरकार के जो शासन में लोग थे वो जिम्मेदार है और उन लोगों ने इस सत्य को उजागर करना चाहिए।
सरासर बेबुनियाद है, झूठ है और शरारतपूर्ण है। दूसरी बात, अमित शाह जी को नरेंद्र मोदी जी से कहना चाहिए, प्रधानमंत्री इन दोनों अच्छे दोस्त हैं, कि वो नाम सामने लाएं। सरकार उनकी है। कांग्रेस की सरकार ने, यूपीए की सरकार ने कॉन्ट्रैक्ट को रद्द किया था, ब्लैकलिस्टिंग का प्रोसेस शुरू किया था।
Delhi Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal also jumped into the controversy, demanding CBI raids against the Congress leaders involved in the scam. The CPI also want a thorough probe into the VVIP chopper scam.
BJP has any credible evidence to accuse UPA government headed by Mr. Manmohan Singh, Defence Minister Mr. A.K. Antony. BJP should come forward with credible evidence.
जो सरकार पिछली थी वो बदल गई है। नई सरकार है, तो जो ट्रेजरी बेंचेस रूलिंग पार्टी के जो लोग हैं उनसे मेरा ये कहना है कि आप जांच करिए, आप पार्लियामेंट में किस बात के लिए उठा रहे हैं?
CBI had in 2013 registered a case in connection with the alleged bribes paid by the firm to Indians to clinch the deal for 12 helicopters to ferry VVIPs, including the President and the Prime Minister. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Well, let's now listen in to some more reactions coming in on the AgustaWestland controversy.
The contract is that 40 crore rupees or 6 million euros would be given to Mr. Michel, and he will ensure that negative reporting is mitigated and if possible actually converted to supporting the agreement.
जब शिकायत मिली तो यूपीए सरकार में डिफेंस मिनिस्टर के एंटोनी साहब ने ऑर्डर किया, उनका ऑर्डर कैंसिल किया, उनसे पैसे की वापसी हुई। भारतीय जनता पार्टी ने 2 साल के दौरान में कुछ नहीं किया, कुछ दिखाने के लिए कुछ धीरे रखो, दिखाने के लिए कुछ नहीं है, और अब अनावश्यक रूप से इधर-उधर की बातें कर रही है।
Meanwhile, Prime Minister Narendra Modi has been invited to address a joint meeting of the US Congress on June 8th. The invite has been extended by the Speaker of the US House of Representatives. Modi will be in the US after an invite by President Barack Obama for a bilateral visit when he was in the US for a nuclear summit. Speaker of the US House of Representatives Paul Ryan said in Washington that the friendship between the United States and India is a pillar of stability in an important region of the world. He also added that the address by Modi presents a special opportunity to hear from the elected leader of the world's most populous democracy on how our two nations can work together to promote our shared values and to increase prosperity. Earlier, Prime Ministers Manmohan Singh, Atal Bihari Vajpayee, P.V. Narasimha Rao and Rajiv Gandhi have addressed joint meetings of the US Congress. The White House, on the other hand, said that it is in talks with Indian officials on Prime Minister Narendra Modi's proposed visit to the US. The proposed visit could be the last official meeting between Modi and Obama before the US President demits office. It's time for a short break now, but news and updates will continue on the other side. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Ustad Bismillah Khan, the legendary maestro who brought Shehnai to the center stage of Indian classical music in 1937. With his heart-touching rendering of Rag Rafi, Ustad mesmerized millions of hearts on the eve of the First Republic Day. But most significant was when India achieved independence, and Bismillah Khan performed from the ramparts of the Red Fort on 15th August 1947. Ustad Bismillah Khan was awarded India's highest civilian award, Bharat Ratna.
Welcome back. You're watching Rajya Sabha Television. Well, the Supreme Court has paved the way for National Eligibility Cum Entrance Test or NEET to be conducted this year for admissions to medical courses both in government and private colleges across the country. The Apex Court has approved the NEET schedule for this year proposed by the central government, the Central Board of Secondary Education and the Medical Council of India. As per the proposal, NEET will be conducted in 2 phases this year. The first phase of NEET will be conducted on May 1st instead of the scheduled AIPMT, and the second phase will be held on July 24th. As per the proposal, 6.5 lakh candidates can appear in the first phase of NEET, while 2.5 lakh candidates can sit for the first test in the second phase. A joint result will be announced on August 17th and the entire admission procedure will be completed by September 30th. The Apex Court had earlier this month paved the way for holding the NEET, a single common entrance test for medical courses including MBBS, BDS and PG courses in all medical colleges when it scrapped its 2013 order to stop the single common entrance test. Meanwhile, India has asked the UK to deport Vijay Mallya. Mallya's Kingfisher Airlines has been accused of defaulting bank loans of over 9,400 crore rupees. A request of deportation has been made citing the revocation of his passport and a non-bailable warrant against him. The Ministry of External Affairs has said that it will continue to pursue Mallya's deportation matter with the UK authorities. The development comes 4 days after the MEA revoked the liquor baron's passport. The Enforcement Directorate has approached the MEA seeking initiation of deportation proceedings against Mallya, charged with money laundering in the 900 crore rupees IDBI loan fraud case. Mallya, who had left India on March 2nd for the UK, can approach the British authorities to grant him permission to continue his stay in that country or challenge the revocation of his passport.
The ministry has written to the High Commission of the United Kingdom in Delhi requesting the deportation of Shri Vijay Mallya so that his presence can be secured for investigations against him under the Prevention of Money Laundering Act 2002. Our High Commission in the UK will also be issuing a similar note verbal to the UK Foreign and Commonwealth Office. As you are aware, Shri Vijay Mallya's passport was revoked last week in view of these investigations and the non-bailable warrant issued by the Honourable Special Judge, Mumbai. We will continue to pursue this matter with the United Kingdom authorities.
Meanwhile, the External Affairs Ministry has said that it was yet to receive a request for extradition of former IPL chairman Lalit Modi from Britain. India recently had contacted Interpol and pressed its demand for an early notification of the red warrant sought by the Enforcement Directorate against Modi in connection with its money laundering case. The ED recently got a Mumbai court's nod to begin extradition proceedings against Modi, whom it suspects to be based in the UK. Lalit Modi has been denying any wrongdoing as alleged by the ED, which claimed that he cheated BCCI IPL in granting overseas telecast rights of the cricket tournament in 2009. Well, the third batch of 25 declassified files on Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose will be released today. The second set of 50 declassified files was released last month by the Culture Ministry. The last batch had 10 files each from the Prime Minister's Office and Home Ministry and 30 files from the External Affairs Ministry of the period 1956 to 2009. The centre had earlier dismissed any political motive behind the release of the declassified files and asserted that 25 files will be released every month. The first set of 100 files was released by Prime Minister Narendra Modi in January this year. Running into over 17,000 pages, the files contained historic documents. Moving on to some international news. Now, Aleppo in Syria is left in ruins once again as the Syrian ceasefire crumbles. The upsurge in violence in and around Aleppo has strained the February truce between the government and non-jihadist rebels. UN efforts to convene a new round of peace talks next month and channel aid to Syria's beleaguered population is still on.
Who was the only pediatrician in the area, was among those killed.
It's obvious that we want and we need to find ways to continue supporting these functional hospitals so they can continue supporting, providing life-saving care in the middle of a terrible war. So we will continue looking for every possible way to support the population of Syria.
What we basically see is that while people are bleeding, the health workers are unable to do their work because they cannot do the work and because they are attacked.
Find this attack reprehensible in every possible way. We're looking at dozens, or if not several dozens, of casualties in this strike on what was clear that was a medical facility. The details and the circumstances of the attack are still coming in, but it sure bears all the hallmarks of the kinds of strikes that the regime has done in the past on treatment facilities and, frankly, on first responders.
The United Nations has condemned the bombings, saying attacks that target civilians are inexcusable violations of humanitarian law. It called on the United States and Russia to help push the Syrian peace talks. The UN said that a hard-won February 27 ceasefire was now barely alive. peace talks in Geneva have come to a halt last week as the Syrian opposition pulled out almost all of its delegates soon after the talks began.
I believe that calling for new round of talks during the course of May is urgent, but it's even more urgent in order to make sure that these talks are considered meaningful by the Syrian people, that the cessation of hostilities level is actually reaching back to what it used to be.
No one doubted the severity of the situation, and now no one is now uncertain about the consequences. So what I'm saying is that the lifeline to hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people that have had hopes that things would really get better now, that lifeline may be broken.
Aleppo has been the epicenter of a military escalation that has helped to undermine UN-led peace talks in recent weeks. A cessation of hostilities agreement is coming apart and fighting has resumed on numerous fronts in western Syria. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Meanwhile, US Vice President Joe Biden made an unannounced visit to Iraq in a sign of support for the Iraqi government as it builds on wins in its fight against IS militants amid the distractions of a political crisis. It is the first time that Biden has visited the country since the United States withdrew its forces in 2011. He is the third and highest level US official to visit Iraq this month. Islamic State militants, also known as ISIL, have seized large portions of Iraq and Syria since 2014. Iraqi forces have won back some of the territory, such as the provincial capital of Ramadi, but often after long battles that have left the cities destroyed. Biden's trip, a couple of months in the planning, is a sign of the progress the White House believes Iraqi forces have made in beating back the militant group over the past year. The trip serves to counter a misperception in the region that Iran has undue influence in the nation, a senior administration official said. Well, a major earthquake hit the Pacific nation of Vanuatu, briefly prompting a tsunami warning that was cancelled after locals reported no significant damage. The United States Geological Survey said that the 7.0 magnitude quake struck at a relatively shallow depth of 35 kilometers from the capital, Port Vila. The National Tsunami Warning Center initially warned the quake could generate waves of up to 3 meters on parts of the Vanuatu coast. Within 2 hours, it had cancelled the alert, saying that there was no longer a tsunami threat from this earthquake. Vanuatu is part of the Ring of Fire, a zone of tectonic activity around the Pacific that is subject to frequent earthquakes and volcanic eruptions. A series of tremors have been recorded in the region this month, including a 6.9 magnitude one also close to Espiritu Santo Island. No damage was reported from any of these quakes. Well, that's it on this edition of the Breakfast News. Have a good day.